Hi guys, I'm Chelsea from Trophy Wife Nail Art. Today with Essie and Adore Beauty, we're going to be doing some nail art looks that you can do at home using tools that you already have.
You have a perfect voice. It's so soothing. Yeah. It's like, yes, tell me more.
For our first look, we're going to be doing an ombre nail art look, and all you'll need at home is a simple makeup sponge, which we're going to be using to do the fade. And the colours that we're going to be using today are from the Essie Gel Couture range, which lasts up to 12 days, and you don't need a base coat, but you do need the top coat. I always start any nail art look by cleansing the nail first, so using a bit of nail polish remover to clean the nail, just to get rid of any oils or dust or debris and make your manicure last much longer. Then we're just going to do one coat of your base colour, Gossamer Garment. Then we're just going to let that one dry for a little bit. Then we're just going to do 2 coats. I usually would paint my worst side first so that and just get it out of the way. Not really, or you could just clean it up afterwards. So after your second coat, you just really want to make sure that that's quite dry before you put any of the colour on. So squeaky chair. For the ombre part of this look, you will just need something to use as a palette and your makeup sponge. Using the very corner of the sponge, we're just going to paint some of the polish on it. We're using Model Citizen. And to start with, we're just going to pop it back on the palette and get rid of some of the paint so that you just have a little tiny bit on there. Then going on the tip of your nail, we're just going to press really lightly across, just dab it on. And we're just going to dab it down the nail. You just want to press really lightly so that you don't damage the wet polish underneath. I'm going to go in again. Again, removing some more of the polish. And you want to concentrate a bit more of it at the very tip of the nail. So then you've got a bit of a faded kind of ombre look. And then repeat over the rest of the nails. A lot of people get this done with a white and a nude for kind of like a French ombre for weddings and things. It's very popular. We're just going to get our normal brush, which you could just get from like a stationery store or a $2 shop. You just need a normal brush dipped in acetone, and if you've got any little bits on the edge, you can clean up. You can also just use a cotton pad, just the edge of a cotton pad, and then using your gel top coat, starting at the base, we're just going to brush backwards. When you put the top coat on, it'll blend all of the colour back together as well, so you'll get a nice smooth transition. And then always finish with a cuticle oil. You just want to brush it at the bottom of your nail. Because we've used some nail polish remover at the start to get all of the oils off, you might need a little more hydration. It's good to pop it on your cuticles because it's where your nail matrix is, where your nail is made, so it helps you have nice healthy nails. It actually is so good that it dries so fast. It's so easy to do. Like sometimes an ombre can be hard if it's too thick. It takes ages to dry, but that dries really nicely. For this look, we're going to be doing an abstract look. The tools that you'll need is just a hairpin, or a bobby pin if you like, but I find that these hairpins are nice and flat on the bottom, which are great for doing little dots and things. You're going to need a palette again and just your colours. So we're going to do a base coat of the Essie All-in-One. So the Essie All-in-One is both a base coat and a top coat, which is a really nice thin consistency, so it stays nice and thin under all of the layers of your colours. It's always good to use a base coat because it protects your nails from staining and it helps your nails last a lot longer. Then we're going to do 2 coats of Saint Tropez. My all-time favourite is an Essie colour. I can never remember the name of it, that periwinkle one. I think it's Bikini So Teeny. So that's 2 coats. We're just going to let that dry a little bit in between doing our art. Next we're going to do some abstract shapes with just the brush that comes with the bottle. So we're going to use the colour Blanc. So you don't want to have too much nail polish on the brush here, so we're just going to wipe it out a few times, and then we're just going to do quite rough abstract shapes on here, just using a really light touch. You can go over it again in pieces if you feel like you need a little bit more coverage, or if you want to have a few more kind of scratch marks. Just going to start with 2 here. Then we're going to get our colour Licorice, which is for our black detailing, and we're just going to pop a little bit of it onto our palette. Then using your hairpin, we're just going to pull it apart and dip it into the palette. We're going to do some little dots, so you can have a little test on your palette first to make sure that you get some nice fine dots just to test it out. And we're just going to dot them on the edge of this shape. The best part about this look is that you don't need to be super precise, so you don't need to worry too much about it being perfect. You don't have to have super great art skills for it still to look really cool. Now at this point you can choose whether or not you go and do it on all of your nails, or you can keep it quite simple. It's supposed to be a minimal look, so we're going to leave it here today and we're just going to follow on with a top coat. So we are going to use the gel setter. You might want to wait a little bit just for your colours to dry, just so that you don't get any smudging. And a real key for putting on top coat is to not be pressing down too hard. So you just kind of want to float the brush across the nail and not drag the colour too much. And then you're all done. So next we're going to be doing a negative space look, which is usually a clear or really sheer base colour underneath, and then a stronger colour in some kind of geometric or abstract shape. So we're just going to do one really thin base coat. We're going to be using the clear colour in Gloss Fit from the Treat Love and Colour range. This is a really great thing to be using on the base because it offers you 60% less peeling and 35% less breakage just from 1 week of wear. Next for our colour we're going to be using Bordeaux, which is a really beautiful deep red. With this look we're just going to be doing a bit of a geometric tip, so it'll be slightly angled. We're just going to be using just the actual brush that came with the bottle. You can of course use different nail art striping brushes and things like that, but this is just a nice quick easy one. So we're going to remove a lot of the colour off the brush. You really don't want to have much at all, and just make the brush on the side super thin. So we're just going to do this first stroke as a bit of a guide. You don't have to worry too much if it's a bit patchy or not perfect, because we can fill it in on our second coat. We're just going to start in the corner and stroke straight across. That just gives you a bit of a patchy guide, and then we're just going to go in and quickly fill out the edges. Then we're just going to carry on and do this on all of them to give it a chance to dry. So that is the basis of your look. As you can see, it's kind of a feature that the base is clear. We did a similar thing for Joanna for her Christmas nails, which we did a clear with little snowflakes and snowman, so you'll have to go back and have a look at those. We're going to let that dry a little bit. With your second application of the colour, you don't want to go as thin as you did before, but also try and not keep the colour too thick, as you still want it to be able to dry. So keep a consistent amount of polish on the brush.
It's giving me real like Cell Block Tango vibes, like murderous vibes.
Yeah, it is a little bit, isn't it? Next, we're just going to go back with our paintbrush and clean up the edges. You always want to do this before you top coat so that you get a nice clean sheen on the end. One more advanced tip, I guess, if you feel super confident, if you have a nice flat top brush and you feel like you've made any little mistakes on the outside of your straight line, you can use this brush with a little bit of nail polish remover and then just quickly go in and clean up around the line. Next, we're just going to finish with a clear top coat. We're going to be using the gel setter, which is a bit more of a nice, thicker, shiny consistency. I always find that a top coat always really makes the nail art look so much better. And then you're done. And lastly, to finish, don't forget about those cuticles. Cuticle oil also is really great if it's applied every day. Apply the cuticle oil and you can also rub it into the nail itself, and it'll stop the nail from drying out and you might get a longer wear out of your polish. The few things that I would really say to take away from this are always use a base coat and a top coat as well to make it last longer. Always use a cuticle oil, even if you don't have any polish on your nails. It's really great to help the growth of your nails and to keep them healthy, and always to start by cleansing the nail. The end. Thanks so much for watching. We'd love to see the looks that you create yourself, so just tag Adore Beauty in any of your looks or send them a DM and we would love to see them. Good luck.